Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
And we're starting now.
Now.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, lady journey. I'm just going to go over my personal lady journey.
Go over it.
So
go on, queen.
We were talking about procrastination and I was grown up as been told I'm lazy.
Yes.
And lately they're like, it's an emotional issue rather than a lazy issue. And I feel like because I dealt with the lazy stigma, it's carried over to low self-esteem. And I feel like it's always been unfair, but I guess because our parents were just stupid.
Yes.
They didn't know. So they just said you were lazy.
Yeah.
I always had that with my mom. She's like, I wish I could get you kids to do shit. And you're like, I did do shit, but you didn't consider it shit.
Right.
I'm sorry that I cut up your white sheets, but I was making amazing production design for my school videos.
And I should have been celebrated. But yes, I have seen that more and more. Like when I was reading the Perfectionist's Guide to Letting Go, they talk about procrastination actually as a manifestation of perfectionism in there. And one of the reasons we procrastinate is because yes, actually we're avoiding emotional discomfort, and it's actually an avoidant tactic. Or maybe you're avoiding because you have perfectionist tendencies within yourself, and you feel like, I'm afraid to start this because it won't be perfect, and I hate the feeling of the inner critic coming down on me when things aren't perfect right away.
Or I'm going to get results that I'm afraid will be the worst kind of results, and it will re-edify something that I've suspected a long time ago. That it feels like I really do sometimes feel like I should hang my hat up with stand-up. I'm so frustrated with it. I can't make money with it.
Yeah.
But then it's when I get jealousy towards people, it's but they're putting in the work. And some of them I'm like, there's actually inspiration because I find them to be, they're act dog shit, but I respect them so much because they actually are working really hard.
Yeah. So you're kind of on a journey where you're in a phase with stand-up where it's you've been doing it a long time and you haven't seen the results you wanted, and now you're having other emotional issues that are kind of getting in your own way of finding out what you actually want and what you want to do with it.
Yeah, because now my therapist wants me. I do want to tape my special. I want to do it at Fat Black, and one of the main reasons is I've always felt comfortable in that room. It's small. I like that. I feel like I'm connecting easier. I like Village Underground when it works. It's amazing. You're on top of the world, but it's actually can be a little bit of a hard room. It's a big room, and it's I don't have a big personality to I'm not a pacer. I'm more joke driven, and that so a smaller room like the Fat Black is something more I like, and I can feel like I'm more myself. I've always felt more comfortable, but I don't get booked at the Cellar anymore. I haven't been there for 8 months, and my therapist says you can ask. You should go ask. And I'm like, is that crazy? But I've checked in with everybody, and no one's been they don't think it's crazy.
I don't think it's crazy either. I think really more regardless of what happens with that, what's more of the challenge is what you're saying, the feelings that you're having, struggling with the feelings of letting it define your self-worth, or the feelings of discomfort, and that's so relatable,
Yeah, it would feel embarrassing if they're Sarah, we haven't booked you here.
Right.
The audacity to ask, but I'm is it that weird? It benefits you. I still get a lot of views when I put it online. My last special just got a huge bump. I got 30,000 views in 2 months.
That's incredible.
Yeah, where I don't know where that came from, and it did better than I thought. That I was I still feel like it would benefit you. I'm not a bad comic. I don't think I would do bad, and I feel when I ask, it would be a Sunday evening afternoon.
Yeah. I'll go. I'll go. I think you should go for it.
I'm worried about the response.
Yeah, and it's causing you to procrastinate.
Yes.
The procrastination, I think, is like we were saying, like it's so demonized as like, well, just do it, just like hunker down and force yourself, hustle, 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 grind. Like laziness is actually, I love these people on TikTok where they're like, laziness is a puritanical myth. It's like, what is actually behind the laziness? What is actually behind the procrastination? Am I lonely? Am I scared? Am I feeling fear? And like, going into that place where you are feeling the emotion and not avoiding it by procrastinating is one of the biggest challenges of being alive. Like turning and facing, like my therapist gave me this like analogy. It's like there's a bear chasing you and like you're just running and you're just running your whole life. You're running, trying to avoid the feeling of turning and facing something that you think is scary, but you don't even know what's there.
Yeah, and I do know that I think I will feel better if I ask.
I think you should do it. I think the fact that you feel like there's a chance that it may go wrong and it may kind of like impact your self-worth, I think it's worth just going for it.
Yes. So, but then I'm like, I know they'll ask me to use a crew. I'm like, oh, I don't have any money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so expensive. It's going to cost, I think for that base rate would be like maybe around $6,000.
Yeah. Well, it's like doing a big project like that. I always think that it's worth it when you invest that money because, if you do, it's good to just document your work, I think, just even only for that. Even only for that, I think it's also an investment in terms of like how it may come back to you in terms of like, booking work in the future and like, getting, name recognition and other types of stuff. But even without all of that, just doing something to put like, before you have the baby to put like I have something like I want something done before I have the baby. Yeah, so then you can be like, okay, like,
and then make some income off of that. I made income because of that bump in my special the last few months. I made money on YouTube and it was like a good Easter egg. I think it was like $400.
So great. So great. I mean, that's why they all say, I love these people on TikTok that are like streaming income. But it's like, it is good to have stuff like
passive.
That. It has like exponential returns that you don't get from like, putting time and money and like working like my job at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Which I don't have, but I want.
Well, that's because I can make it into an album and I can get back onto streaming again because I was making money with Voluptuous Boy, but because of like the whole Spotify, I think it was 800-pound gorilla or spoken giant lawsuit, they took it all off and now we're not making any money.
Yes, there was a lawsuit with Spoken Giant, everyone, but we can't give the details of it because it is I was told not to tell what happened.
Oh, I have no idea.
We have no idea what happened, but all the comedians that had their material on Sirius,
it was taken
off. So
then we made no money and you're like, oh, I actually kind of needed that.
How are you kind of like putting together, like preparing to do this like next taping that you're doing?
Well, it's weird because here's the other thing too is like, so obviously I'm going to be pregnant in it and it feels like I'm trying to capitalize on that, which is weird because it feels like there's going to be a shit ton of female comics coming out soon with probably specials. Yeah. While pregnant.
Pregnancy specials will be.
And because I don't think I'm not relying on that as for the bump.
Right. I think it used to be like the kind of thing. It was like,
ooh, a novelty.
Right. It was like back in the day.
What is she gonna say?
Like you were pregnant, but you kept it a fucking secret and you didn't tell a soul because having a baby would like just destroy your career and you had to pretend like you were 26. Yes. And then
you had to have
like
a secret baby.
Yeah, like a secret baby. Like I'm on vacation for a month.
Well, I love like when you read backstory of the studio heads from like Hollywood of the 40s, like all of those starlets had like 20 abortions.
Yeah. And also like 18 marriages that were just like all annulled. I'm listening to, can I drop a really great podcast
Yes.
recommendation just as a tiny aside? It's called Chameleon, which I love that podcast. They have a great series, but this is the 5th season. It's called Dr. Dante, and it's about, he's a scam like con artist, but he's also a hypnotist. And there's like, it's old Hollywood, like 70s Hollywood, and it's just really fun. And as you know, I'm now into scams because murder scares me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
because
back to
we feel like we're not profiting off of victims.
off of who are mostly women.
Yeah.
Almost always, and they've died in a horrific way. And I don't want to make that part of
and
my
bring it up for the families over and
self-care.
over again.
Yeah,
because it's so fun.
it's so fun. But to get back to you though, what I was going to say is, like then we had seen like Ali Wong did a pregnancy
She did
special.
too.
She did too, and it was like then
Amy did it.
Amy did it. It became like a thing that it's like now you are like displaying that you're like Rihanna at the Super Bowl. Like, yes, I'm pregnant, but I'm still working, and it kind of becomes like a thing.
Kind of.
Yeah. But now we're like post that, and now it's just like I'm pregnant, but I still have to work because I need to, and the baby's coming, and I have to fucking try to help myself before I'm gonna be like incapacitated for 2 months.
Well, I've thought about taking advantage of being pregnant and then doing all of my darkest material because
oh, that's a great idea. I love that.
I'm a mom.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like I can kind of get away with saying, when I was talking about, I think there should be more mass shootings.
Yeah. Yes.
I've been dealing with so much incompetency.
I think that's
in the public lately.
I think that's actually super brilliant. Like,
and I want to call it mother, like Danzig's mother.
Yes.
And that's my imagery of it.
Yes.
Like mother, and then it's,
And the photo of you is just you with your pregnant belly, like smoking.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I love your dark humor, and I feel like I love dark stuff, edgy stuff in a way when it's presented in a way that's like non-threatening.
Yes, I'm not. I like to make fun of I don't know how to say it because I know there's a lot of dark humor, and I see it, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't know where the joke is here.
Right. Where it's like, and I do think like when in the context
It's
of like a male like comedian where you're like, okay, but coming from you, it just feels like that's a sick thought you had and now you're sharing it.
Well, I do get jealous. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot of our male comic friends. Like, I really enjoy Nick Mullen stuff when he does like his impersonation of Steve Harvey finding out about the Holocaust. They did what? He has to like move on the other side of the room, like he can't handle it. And I'm like, that's the kind of dark material that I like. But I feel like, I don't know, this sounds really bad, but I feel like a lot of men get away with that more than women.
Yes, because I think that people feel, but I actually think for me as a woman, that's why I appreciate it more for women, because it's the juxtaposition of like a very, I mean, if somebody saw you on the street, you have like a very like Whole Foods white lady vibe where it's like, I don't have dark thoughts. I'm just on my way to yoga.
Yeah.
It's like, but of course we all have dark thoughts, and to be in touch with that, but looking the way you do, the juxtaposition to me, I find funny, but that's me as a woman. But I think a lot of other people, maybe they find,
it's nasty or trashy of what my
trashy
Joe's uncle.
According to Joe's uncle, it's trashy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love the idea of just, and I think that, in terms of branding, setting yourself apart in that way is actually really exciting and hilarious and fun. Even if you just do one dark album and then the rest you go back to like mundane.
I want to do the stuff that I've always wanted to do. And it's not, sometimes it's like, it's not even like dark, I think. I guess it's just like the subject matter is just like dark, but just like finding the funniness in it.
Yeah. And I love the idea too of your baby in like 20 years finding it online and being like, what the fuck was this? Mom?
I know. That's the other thing too. It's so weird with stand up because like we all loved Louis when he talked about his family so openly about it and like his feelings of being like, my kid's a fucking asshole. But I worry even talking about even the way of like the conception of our kid. Is that fair for him?
Yes.
I worry about that. Or like hearing your mom, it's like, I've heard porn stars talk about like when their kids find out that they've done it and they realize that they've actually felt bad for their kids that they have to go through that.
I love, you're going to have to sit him down and be like, mommy and daddy roasted each other. And I called daddy's penis small, but I didn't mean it. It was for comedic purposes.
It's for, the audience to indulge. Yeah. Like, it was for money.
I called daddy's penis small, but it was only for money. And let that be a lesson to you.
And I talk about my pussy for money.
Yeah, just talk about camel toe, a light camel toe.
But sometimes it is really funny in stand up. I'll be on stage talking about like something sexual, and you're just like, could be a sex. I am a sex worker right now.
Doing sexual prose.
Yeah.
I'm doing sexual prose.
How different am I from a phone sex talker?
Phone sex, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I don't even know if they even have that. You just commune with a bot now. You're just like, are you horny?
Oh my God.
I'm horny.
That's what I was talking. I wanted to do a bit about that recently with sex bots, where I'm like, I just picture if guys got sex bots, like they wouldn't even clean it. Like I would be I would be mad because I'm like, Joe, the jizz trap on your sex bot is getting so bad.
Your penis has a rash. Yeah. That's just so hilarious. You're the one stuck cleaning the sex robot.
Because I'm just like tired of looking at her just being dirty.
I read an article recently. I did Nagin Farsad's podcast. I can't recall what it's called, but she is like really one of the funniest people I think on the fucking planet. She's so hysterical.
Yeah.
But I did her podcast and we were reading articles, and we read one article that was about this new movement called the no wash movement. And of course it's all dads. It's a bunch of dads being like, well, I just don't wash my clothes anymore. And I wash my kids' clothes or whatever, and my wife washes her clothes, but I've just stopped washing my clothes because, I just don't have the time, and it's just not that good for the planet. And it's like, well, who's washing the fucking pillowcase then?
I know.
Because I bet it's your wife. And this do not make you being a bad husband and letting your wife do all cleaning the towels and doing all that under the guise that you're saving the planet.
Yeah.
Get an electric car.
My roommate I also picture her just like, this is 52 weeks in a row with a UTI.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, by the way, you just have horrific hygiene
it's
now,
bad
and
hygiene.
You're just kind of forcing it. It was just like a series of dads being like, well, I just wear wool sweaters and you don't need to clean wool. It's like, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
It's rank. It's like my friend had that problem. He lived with like an eco-friendly guy, and he didn't like flushing the toilet.
Okay.
To save water, but you're like, so then you go in and then you end up flushing it for him.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look at his waste products.
It's
like, so I'm just doing the labor for you.
It's so funny like that because there's just so much hypocrisy wrapped up in it, and I am also participating in this in a way that's self-aware, but I'm also trying to break out of it. But it's like we all say that we're doing stuff for the planet, but it's like there are a lot of things that you can do for the planet, and not flushing your shit down the toilet is like probably not really even helping. You're just assaulting your roommate.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know. It's like, does it really move the needle when other countries don't have policies that go through it? And if you do enforce it, that you're causing third world countries to like ruin their population.
Right. But I want to go back to your special though, because I feel like this is like a journey, and then like now I'm like, men don't wash.
Yeah.
Classic lady journey rabbit hole. But I love like getting on the topic of your special and talking about like, because this is such like an interesting moment in your life as an artist where you are like,
I'm scared.
You're at a fucking precipice where it's like having a baby as a woman, also being like past 40, if it's okay for me to say that.
Yes.
Being 27, as we know you are. Like going through this, you are kind of at a precipice where it's like, I want to leave this, I want to leave a piece of work. I want to set myself up to prioritize the baby. And then kind of it's a question mark beyond having the baby. You have to see how you feel and what's going to be after that.
Yeah, because I don't know what will happen, how I will feel if I can go back to doing stand-up, because it's just like, That's the thing that's so hard, is because Joe's the breadwinner and he's had more success. So we're going to have to, he's always going to have like it's going to feel like
his career is a
more important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if we went on my career, we're on the streets. And that's not smart living. But
thank you for patronizing Lady Joe, by the way. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But and so I feel like I'm at a point of like, this is maybe my last time to do something. And then like, we're probably going to have to move to New Jersey. And I'm like, let's just be honest. I'm probably not going to be in the city, like going to the city as much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to figure out ways, if I'm going to keep doing stand-up, what I'm going to have to do. Like, is this the end of me?
Is this the end of you? Yeah, exactly. And I think like part of the thing that's scary is that like there is no way of knowing how you're going to feel when the baby comes out and it's a huge life transformation. Like it is the end of you in the way of you as you are now.
Yes.
This motherhood is such like a transformation of the self.
Well,
I'm obviously not speaking from experience, but that's what I've heard on TikTok.
That's what it feels like. It's also, I don't want to parlay. I don't think I can go into the route of like, I'm just going to be like a funny mommy blogger, because now I don't want to be, I almost think I'm like, is it worse to have an alcoholic parent or a content parent?
Right. There is some type of dysfunction going there where you're just filming your kid doing everything and kind of using it for your own self-worth.
And they have no say in the product.
Yeah.
And their whole life is automatically put online for other people to know more information about them. That's why we're probably not going to give the name.
No, we won't.
And, but so I'm like, so I can't really even go that route.
I think that is an ethical choice. I think you're right. I think there is a high chance that in 20 years we're going to have, a generation of people that will consider that abusive.
Yeah,
to be using their name and image without their consent, really. Like these kids that are dragged into show business at a young age by their parents.
It's the same thing. They're being exploited, and now they're like the basis of the family's money.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of pressure, and it's really fucked up to put on a kid. And also all these strangers know their lives more so on a personal level than kid actors. So I know there's people that in our group that kind of do it already, and I'm like, that's whatever. If you guys have already, that's your thing. That's your choice.
Like, yeah,
your
like
family
no judgment,
plan.
but
right. I just don't. I just feel like for me, I have ethical issues about it, and so I'm like, I can't. That's something I can't even go into.
Can I tell you something? Like, as a supportive friend, like I think I feel fearful for myself, kind of being here as a friend for you.
Yeah.
Going through what you're going. Like, I also kind of want to have kids. I don't know. I'm like, the clock is like ticking down for me, but like the transformative experience that you're about to go through, I feel like an anxiety about it, thinking like identifying myself with it. But I think that what will happen when you kind of go through this transformation, what you will not lose is your sense of humor. You're not going to lose your creativity. You're not going to lose your like insightful nature.
Yeah.
So I think that you will be able to bring it into your life, maybe not in the same way that you had before, but I don't think that part of you is going to leave. I think you'll still be like, oh my God, I got a fun idea. Like, let me execute it.
Yeah. I can tweet it or I can TikTok it.
Yeah, you can put it out in other ways, and I don't think that this is the end of your career by any means. I think that it could be if you wanted it to, and there's even a chance that like you could have the baby and be like, oh my God, I just kind of only want to be a mom now, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me how people went through COVID. We had a lot of people friends that we knew that like COVID actually opened their eyes to realizing that they just didn't like pursuing stand-up.
Yeah, like I think there's a big chance that you might be like, oh my gosh, like this is the most incredible experience and this is kind of all I want to do, and that's totally okay. But I also think that you will probably also be like, but I still have funny thoughts, like, and like you'll express them in, whatever way is convenient. You can basically do stand-up on your phone now anyway. So I think everything's gonna be okay. And I'm saying that as a friend, not a mom.
Yeah. No, I'm just intrigued. There's quite a bit of fear of like, I do feel like it's like what we were talking about planning for a vacation of like, I'm in this area where I feel like I have to tie up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to happen. And now I'm put in a position like I have to ask the seller if I can do a special there when they haven't booked me in 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then I was like, I do have backup plans. The other thing I was thinking of too is like, I think sometimes these things will also make me value my time more, where I'm like, maybe instead of going to an hour to Brooklyn Comedy Club on the weekday to perform some new jokes in front of 3 people, I can just walk 10 blocks to Grove 34.
Absolutely.
And have the same productive activity with less time, that I will find different avenues to work out material.
I've heard that from a lot of moms.
And not waste my time.
Yeah, that like the efficiency level like shoots up.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, I just need to be super efficient about everything, and now I can.
And
it's like the work expands to fill the space.
I will work my material into mommy groups.
Yeah. Hey, ladies. Anyone here bleeding from their pussy? No, I love it. This was like kind of an unexpected turn, but I think this was like, what a cool episode this turned out to be. It was like vulnerable and so real.
Yeah, the area. And then I also feel like I could already start sensing myself that the career will disappear, and then the self-righteousness of like, you will never know what I love. So it will make me feel better about the like losing out on the comedy career. They're like, well, I can always be self-righteous with childbirth.
Yes, yeah. You'll never know the love that I've known. Sure, you may be famous, but I'm a mom. That's
and you
fucking
won't know
hysterical.
that bonding.
Yeah.
And I will hold that over you because I have nothing else in my life.
See, you retain your hilarious perspective. I think that like you going into this other world of mom culture is like a TV show when like they have a great season and then the main character like moves into like a new city, and they're just like, you know, like you in that show when he goes from New York to LA, and it's just such a great, it's like, oh my God, what a much better season.
Yeah. This is more like in the second season of Weeds.
Yeah, well, I never saw that.
Oh.
I felt an urge to pretend that I had, but then I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
I've done that where I'm like, oh yeah, and then like 2 minutes later, you're like, I should actually come clean. And you're like, I've never seen Weeds.
Yeah, because they're like, you know that time that Randy said ba ba ba, and you're like, I know, and now I'm here for an hour reliving Weeds with you.
I'm so sorry. I did not know we were going down a deep road. I thought I was in and out.
Yeah,
I had that one. I was wearing a sweatshirt from Amsterdam because it was a crew neck, and it was just a thrifted, and I just liked the fit of it.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the design, and the lady's like, Amsterdam, you've ever been? And I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, I don't know if I'm prepared to go even further with this.
Yeah, she's like speaking Dutch to you. You're like, okay. Oh my God. Okay.
I love it when you lie and you realize I have to come clean with this.
I even trapped myself into an hour.
I kind of have a soft spot for Steve Ranazizi in the 9/11.
He was a comedian.
Stolen Valor.
He was a comedian that lied and said that he was in 9/11, which it's so funny that like now in the aftermath of 9/11, there's multiple people lying and saying that they were there. And it never even occurred to me to run a scam like that, but it's pretty fucking hysterical.
I can understand how it starts. I really do empathize with that, the beginning of it. It's
you get trapped in there like, I was in 9/11. You're like, I know, me too. And then boom, so they've created a podcast. You're trapped in a lie. They've created a podcast. You also claim to have the mesothelioma because you just don't want them to feel left out.
And then I'm part of the lawsuit.
Yeah. That's a great sitcom, I think. A woman who just like accidentally gives the impression that she was at 9/11 and now she has to keep it up for the rest of her life.
There was Molly Shannon had one where she pretended she had cancer to keep her job.
Oh, as a TV show?
Yeah.
That's great.
And I really liked that concept because I think about that I've always wanted to do like a Lifetime movie about Hilaria Baldwin.
Ugh, Hilaria.
Are grifters the most fascinating people ever?
Love it. You got to check out Scamanda, which is out there now, and Dr. Dante.
Because you want to know, like, if they're
how do
in
you
their
have the
mind.
balls?
I know.
How do you have the balls to not be
like,
nervous?
Oh my God, I'm in the biggest shit show of my life.
Yeah.
And now I have to commit to it.
Meanwhile, we're like accidentally grifting so we don't like let our friend down that we haven't seen Basic Instinct. Okay, let's end it there. And Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.